of the podcast this week is sponsored by Second Century Fox, creators of the world's most entertaining and dramatic illusions. From comic tales of poor people being oppressed by the elite to dramatic fables about poor people being oppressed by the elite, to sweeping sagas about poor people being oppressed by... Look, can't they oppress someone other than just the poor people? I'm an equal opportunities oppressor. I've oppressed along with the best of them. Now where's that screenplay I wrote?
All the tabletop role-playing news. We aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morrus's unofficial tabletop RPG talk.
Hello, and welcome to Morrus's unofficial tabletop RPG talk. I am Russ, aka Morrus, or Morrus, aka Russ, and with me in what can only be described as this week, unless you're listening to it next week, in which case it's last week, or unless by some miracle of time travel you were listening to it last week, in which case it's next week.
I admire your ability to get through that sentence with only tripping yourself up only once or twice. It's Peter Coffey from the Southampton Guild of Role Players. Rest is ever delighted to be here.
Yeah, we had a big week. We have a big week this week.
A massive week. Yes.
It's an enormous week.
It's a week so enormous that even I know what's going on, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we are going to be counting down the top 10 podcasts in both the talk and the actual play categories.
That's must be like 20 podcasts.
Almost exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there is some good news. At least I know for a certain fact that at least one of those we won't have to talk about in great detail.
Have you looked at the list yet?
I have looked at the list.
Okay.
And that's why I know that one of those we won't have to talk about in great detail.
I have also looked at the list.
Good. Well,
in fact, I made the list. Yes.
That would be helpful. Where did you compile the list from, Russ?
Where did I compile the list from?
Yes.
Well, I took a short survey of the pets in this household.
Yes.
All two
What
of them.
do Hudson and Ripley have to say?
They both say our podcast is best. End of.
Oh, well, there you go. That was actually surprisingly easy. Okay, everyone, thanks very much.
See you all next week.
Yeah.
This was a
we should probably
big survey.
Yes.
Up on my website.
ianworld.org.
Yes, where many hundreds and hundreds of people voted for their favourite podcast of 2019. And then some people didn't nominate their favourite podcast of 2019 and then complained afterwards that their favourite podcasts weren't nominated.
Maybe they should have, I don't know.
Nominated them,
yeah, exactly. I don't know, it's a bit of a long shot, but I feel maybe that's useful in nominating podcasts.
But still, we now have... After many votes, we now have two lists, top 10 lists in each of those two categories, and we'll count them down in a bit. But not until we've done the RPG news.
Ooh, RPG news.
And there actually is some this week.
You mean we shouldn't just blather and talk complete rubbish for the next hour and a half?
It's much the same. It's much the same thing.
It is pretty indistinguishable. But yeah, let's go with the RPG news. I've got a good feeling about this one.
There's actually quite a lot this week.
Really? Yes, well, I can think of at least one thing that I'm moderately excited about.
Well, why didn't you launch in with your thing?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's the headline thing.
Go on then.
Which is I can't pronounce the name. You're great at pronouncing Forgotten Realms names. What's her face? Silverhand's Exploration Handbook, or whatever it's called.
Leral Silverhands Explorer's Kit. So this is an interesting story behind this.
Miss Silverhands or Ms. Silverhands, depending.
Yes. So at the beginning of the week, on Amazon appeared a mysterious product entitled Dungeons and Dragons March Release Book, title announced January 9th.
Is the exciting news that Amazon didn't leak the title of the book this time.
Yeah. Presumably, because Amazon hadn't been told the title of the book. I think they've literally listed it as that.
Yeah.
So, in theory, on January the 9th, we were going to hear the title of this book. At the same time on Amazon appeared this sort of explorer's kit, which is a dice set with some cards and a big map. And this was called Laryl Silverhand's Explorer's Kit.
Right. Is that the proper name, or is that just a placeholder name?
That's the actual name. You can see the product.
Yeah.
So they appeared on Amazon with a release date of the exact same day.
Yes.
Which is March the 17th, 2020.
Okay.
Described as dice and miscellany for the world's greatest role-playing game, $29.99. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I said, it's a nice blue box with a set of blue dice in it,
yes.
and a big map of the Sword Coast, and a bunch of cards detailing various locations and stuff in the Sword Coast. Are you familiar with Laeral's Silver Hand?
I have read the Forgotten Realms Wikipedia entry, and it seems very complicated.
The short version, she's a prolific creator of magic items.
Okay.
She's from Waterdeep.
Yep.
She's one of the most powerful wizards in the Forgotten Realms.
I think she was also like an open lord of Waterdeep, what are they calling it?
Yeah. She's one of the Seven Sisters. And these were introduced back in the 80s in the Forgotten Realms box set. Mm-hmm. In Ed Greenwood's Seven Sisters supplement detailed them better in the 90s. And she and Blackstaff, Kelvin Aronson, led a group called the Moonstars.
Right.
And she's appeared briefly in Waterdeep Dragon Heist, in 5th edition, in Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and in, I think, was she mentioned in Tyranny of Dragons?
Rise of Tiamat, it would probably be, because you have a big description, but quite frankly, there were like about 18 NPCs at a table.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure. There are people. I was playing a kobold. We were all playing kobold too.
So obviously, at the same time as this dice kit appeared on Amazon, also appeared this D&D coming soon title announced January the 9th, blank product, and it's like a black. All you see is a black book with an ampersand on it on the words coming soon.
Yes.
Very mysterious. Very mysterious.
It would be a lot more mysterious if they had just released a dice set that would be accompanying it, yeah.
Yeah, and the description said, your first look at the next D&D title comes on January the 9th. Yes. Keep an eye on wherever you get your D&D news. That'll be this podcast then. For a preview of the book.
Well, I can't help but notice it's January 10th.
It is January the 10th. You are observant indeed.
Yes.
On Tuesday, another message emerged from the offices of Wizards of the Coast, snuck its way onto the internet to be observed, read, consumed by people such as us.
Yes.
And it said, get the Quasits out of our office. Our plan to make a D&D book announcement on Thursday has been changed. Adventurers, mark your calendars for Monday, January the 13th.
Ah, marvellous. So basically they heard that we would be ready to talk about it on the podcast. I said, nope. Best change the day.
Yeah.
We can't have those jokers doing stuff. God knows what they do with it. Oh, yeah.
Almost certainly that's it. No, I don't know what the reason is. It could be one of a million things. But anyway, we'll find out.
Well, quasits apparently. What is a quasit?
So
some sort of beast,
elementally imp thing, I think.
Oh, I'm thinking Nephits. I don't know.
Like a gremlin. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Whack them on a stick. See how they barbecue.
Yeah.
That's the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's tons and tons and tons of speculation.
Yes.
Like the entire internet's been speculating what this book is going to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, looking at the dice set, it looks likely to be another Forgotten Realms splat book in a similar vein to the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide.
Maybe.
Which, has had a bit of a mixed reception. What I'd quite like it to be is for it to be actual rules for the so-called third pillar of Dungeons and Dragons in the 5th edition, which is not social, not combat, but in fact exploration. So things like encounters where
it says Explorer's Kit.
It does say Explorer's Kit, so that's why I'm sort of hoping that
that's the dice set. That's not the book.
It's not the book, that's true. But I'm hoping that they might also lean into this exploration theme and, have some rules for exploration encounters. Because, there's just a constant thing where people are saying, we're trying to do exploration in D&D, but we've got no rules to help us. And people saying we need 5 to 6 encounters a day to help parties burn through their resources. Because if you don't have enough encounters, then they don't have anything to spend their resources on. That means that you throw in a fight against something, and it gets instantly stomped to death. Exploration is much quicker, much easier to set up, to the extent that I've had to homebrew my own rule set for it. But so I'm hoping that they will come up with something.
I think the exploration pillar should be completely done in live action.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
People should be just like dumped in the Highlands of Scotland or on Dartmoor or somewhere and left to find things.
Well, some of us can climb ropes and some of us can't. I'm more of the former, although I don't like it. What are you hoping for out of this exciting book?
I would personally say steer away from the Forgotten Realms. I doubt it will.
No.
Almost certainly won't, because they just did everyone.
Yeah.
But
So,
I'd like to see them continuing this theme of after Ravnica and everyone. I'd like to see them steer away from the Forgotten Realms, but I can't imagine them releasing many more campaign settings.
no.
At least not in the near future. So, yeah, what I would hope is certainly another campaign setting. I almost certainly know it's almost certainly not going to be that.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like a Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and be full of exciting and new rule systems, or it could be a Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, and just be a bit, if you love Forgotten Realms, then you'll love this book. And if
Yeah.
you don't really care about it, then this is a terrible time for you.
Or a collection of short adventures, perhaps. Maybe spread across the Sword Coast, and you can just insert them into any journey.
No, I don't think it's anything new, because they've just brought out Avernus, and the other adventures that they brought out have been, Ghost of Saltmarsh, which was in fact not new adventures, it was all reprints, updated for 5th edition, so I don't think they've got anything new to bring out.
Well, I guess we'll find out on Monday, won't we?
I guess we will. I shall look forward to it. I'm hoping it'll be exciting, and then we'll have something to froth about.
Hey, are you a fan of typos?
A fan of typos? Not so much.
Are you a fan of amusing typos?
I'm an avid producer of amusing typos. I have friends who produce far more.
Have you seen the latest one found in a D&D book?
Oh, no, I have not.
In Descent into Avernus,
Yes.
there's this lovely bit of read aloud text.
Yeah.
And I've got a screenshot of it, and we'll stick it in the show notes so people can actually see it's real.
Yeah.
It reads as follows. This was found by a chap called Mike Gamsby. Mm-hmm. And it reads as follows.
Yes.
You see an two-wheeled, typo number 1, you see an two-wheeled infernal war machine parked next to a large rock. Standing atop the rock, peeing into the hot wind, is a slender elf-like figure.
I mean, that doesn't sound... I don't see where the typo is. I mean, I personally wouldn't do that into the wind. I'd go downrange, but this is hell. They do things differently there.
Yes, I suppose so, yeah.
Maybe it's his way of cooling down.
It might be.
Yeah. Maybe they meant a two-wheeled infernal machine. Is that the typo? Or peering,
Probably.
that could also work.
I think peering is the typo, but an is also a typo. But there was one in Lost Mine of Fandelver where they had miners instead of miners, as in under children instead of people who dig.
Well,
They
can be both. Child labour was used.
Well, I suppose so. Yeah,
that's why it's been lost.
The mine assayers work here, weighing and assessing ore samples and paying the miners for their labour.
Well, there you go.
MINORS.
It does explain a lot of things.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Well, the classic one of all time was you've heard of Dow Wizard, have you?
Dow Wizard.
You haven't heard of Dow Wizard? Oh, it's such a classic. So I can't remember which book it was in, but basically there was a decision to change the word mage to wizard.
Right.
In whichever edition that was. And someone just did a copy replace on the entire document for mage and switched it for wizard. So when you get things like image,
damage,
it turns into a eye wizard. When you do
Apple's
damage, you do Dow Wizard.
It's not damage, it's damage.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. So this is the cube of frost resistance. I'm looking at this from the DMG. However, if the field is subjected to more than 50 points of cold Dow Wizard in any turn, it collapses and cannot be renewed for 1 hour. If it receives over 100 points of Dow Wizard in one turn, the cube is destroyed.
Hey, don't make them get the wizard. You'll be sorry.
And this
So
mistake
you're
didn't
frosty.
happen just in that bit of text.
No.
No,
I'm sure it was-
no, yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of my favourites.
Publishers. What's he to do?
I know. Hey,
Get a proofreader.
there's some bad news out of Fantasy Flight Games this week.
Oh, really? What's happened?
They are laying off a lot of staff.
Really? Oh, I thought they were doing really well.
Well, so did I.
Yeah.
But there's a timeline involved because their parent company was acquired by an equity company a few years ago.
Yeah.
And that tends to result in some major changes. So they've completely shut down Fantasy Flight Interactive, which is their digital department.
Right.
Everyone's gone from there. And it looks like they're cutting right down on the RPG department, getting rid of all the... the information's quite hard to get hold of. This is a lot of a bit of speculation and a bit of people who've been laid off sort of posting on Twitter or posting on Facebook and stuff like that. So you're kind of piecing this together. But it looks like they are shuttering the RPG department, getting rid of all the full-timers, or maybe just reducing it down to like 1 or 2 full-timers, and possibly switching to just freelancers in the RPG department. So a whole load of RPG designers have lost their jobs.
Oof.
I know, it's interesting. I mean, the parent company's Asmodee, and then Asmodee's owned by I think it's a French equity company. I'm not sure which company it is, but they haven't made any kind of statement. This is just leaks that have been coming out of the company, from people who have been laid off. So it's hard to know. Oh, here we go. PAI Partners is the parent company. Never heard of them before, but equity companies, you don't tend to. They're not household names, are they?
Well, no, they just come along, asset strip, and then move on. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
But Fantasy Flight is continuing to announce new products, so it's not... So
Right.
It doesn't look like the RPG department has been, cancelled or anything. It just looks like it's kind of restructuring, getting rid of a lot of presumably expensive full-time employees.
Removing their pension liabilities, national insurance, all that sort of jazz.
And just switching to a freelance model, I guess. I mean, we'll probably find out more detail a little later.
We shall have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's sad news. There's more sad news as well. This is sort of good news about some sad news. The sad news, of course, is that Australia is on fire, as we all know.
Yes, Australia is on fire.
The good news, which doesn't really mitigate this, but I suppose...
I mean, just in case someone hasn't heard about this and is thinking Russ is indulging in dreadful hyperbole, no, I think it's pretty fair to say that a lot of Australia is on fire. If you took a map of the fire lines in Australia and superimposed them on the United States, then it would be like, almost a one-for-one sort of thing. Like 90% of the landmass of the USA would be on fire compared with the amount of fire in Australia, which goes to show that Australia is very, very big, and also that there's massive problems there.
There's billions and billions and billions of animal deaths as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think the koala has gone extinct in the wild.
Has it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
that's from a couple of weeks ago.
Oh.
So it's been a massive problem for a long time. They're not expecting any sort of rain until mid-June at the earliest. And their Prime Minister, President Scotty for marketing, he's just not getting anything done.
Well, Chaosium is doing something about it.
Chaosium's doing something about the fires in Australia. Go on,
so their RuneQuest Glorantha Bestiary is currently pay what you want for a limited time with a slight twist.
I'm listening.
They are saying instead of paying them, you can go along, you can download the book, and then you can pick one of 4 charities to donate to.
Oh, that's very public-spirited. Bravo, Chaosium.
Yeah. So this promotion is going for a week. It ends on Sunday. It's been going for the last week or so. And the 4 charities are Wires, which is a wildlife rescue non-profit. The World Wildlife Fund Australia, which is directing its efforts towards koala conservation.
Yep.
The Port Macquarie Koala Hospital, which is raising funds to distribute automatic drinking stations in the burnt areas.
Yep.
And other places include Australian Red Cross, New South Wales Rural Fire Service, and the Country Fire Authority Victoria.
Yeah, so it sounds, well done, Chaosium.
Yeah.
That's really kind and giving away a fantastic product as well to help encourage people to give charity.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's what Sunday that ends.
It ends on Sunday, yeah.
Right. So if you're listening to this on Monday, then I'm afraid you've missed your window.
Yes,
But
that will teach you not to listen to our podcast straight away. Actually, that sounds really bad because the only people that suffer from that are the Australians or the Australian wildlife. So,
Well,
I take back what I just said.
even if you don't get a copy of the bestiary, please, somebody, think of the koalas.
Okay, so Modifius.
Yes.
Modifius.
The people who are publishing absolutely everything in the world.
It would not be a news section without Modifius.
Yes. Well, it's hard not to include them in an RPG news podcast, and they are publishing 90%
So many
non-Dungeons
things.
and Dragons.
And the thing that they're publishing at the moment, which is of newsworthy note, is the Fallout role-playing game closed beta test has opened up for sign-ups.
I see.
So if you want to help beta test Fallout,
Yes.
you can go along to their website and you can sign up for the closed beta. You might not get in. They're going to select people from the people that sign up,
Yeah.
so it's not any guarantee. You've got until Monday, January the 13th.
Right.
Again, this has been going for the last few days. You've got until Monday, so it's a short window.
So if you're listening to this on Monday, you've got today. Get in there.
Yeah.
Ignore your boss at work. Just get on there. Sign up for that.
Yeah, all you need is your first and last name and your email address, and
Yes.
you agree to sign an NDA if you're accepted.
Ah.
So I'm not.
Non-disclosure agreement.
Yes, a non-disclosure
Hush.
agreement.
Can't tell your friends on the internet. Or even in real life. Assuming you have in real life friends.
Right.
Yes.
You know the Forgotten Realms.
The Forgotten Realms.
Can you remember them?
No, I'm sorry. They just don't spring to mind. Refresh me.
So they were created by Ed Greenwood, as you
yes.
probably do know. In 1987, he sold the rights to the setting
Oh, he must have made millions.
to TSL. Well, guess how much he made?
Oh, $1 million. Too low? No, too high. $50,000. $10,000. $5,000.
$5,000.
Oh, dear me. Yeah.
And
Thanks,
since
sir.
then, it's gone on to sell hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of products.
Yes. Oh well. So at least he gets the joy of seeing his creation be well known, and then sneered at by two blokes on a podcast in Britain.
Yeah. Well.
You can't put a price on that, Russ. You can't put a price on that.
The Coriolis role-playing game
Yes.
was owned by Paradox Interactive.
Yes.
Free League, the Swedish publishers.
Paradox Interactive.
So they were originally licensing. Free League were originally licensing the IP from Paradox.
Yes.
They've now acquired it, the rights,
Exciting.
in whole, in completion,
Yes.
as it were.
What is the Coriolis role-playing game?
So it is a science fiction setting, and it's set in a remote cluster of star systems called by the Third Horizon, and it's kind of ravaged by war and home to various different civilizations.
Okay. Sounds exciting.
Yeah. And that's from the same people who designed Tales from the Loop and the Alien role-playing games, Freely,
Right.
who produce gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous stuff.
And we've recently reviewed the Alien RPG, and we're very impressed with its design.
We were.
And certainly, we've always been very impressed by the production values. Tales from the Loop, I presume. Tales from the Flood as well, or something it was called.
Things from the Flood.
Things
the
from the
sequel was
Flood,
called. Yes,
yeah.
yeah. Things
Yeah.
from the Flood. Yeah.
All right, so that's something to look forward to. What else?
Do you know Hero Forge?
Hero Forge. Yes, they make minis. So many
you
minis.
can-
You can pose them and do all sorts of
You
things.
can
with them.
customise them.
There's so much customization.
There's always been one problem with that, though.
It's unfortunately that they're in America and I'm in the UK.
Well, that
and
aside.
it costs me quite a lot of money to get it printed and sent over to me.
Also, they were
Yes.
unpainted, were they not?
They were unpainted.
Well, that is about to change.
Bum, bum, bum.
Hero Forge are going to be launching a Kickstarter very soon. I don't know what date. Of Hero Forge 2. And Hero Forge 2 colours your miniatures. So you can customise them and you can select colours for different bits. So,
That's
so basically you can virtually paint them and then they get printed and sent to you painted.
Are they printed in that colour? Or...
I presume so. I don't know the exact mechanics behind it. It's
but still, nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how much it's going to cost. I reckon we'll be talking like $50 or more per miniature.
That's about what it is at the moment.
Yeah,
fair,
so
mate.
more than, yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's like if they got the right kit and they are big investors in 3D printing, then like that extra level of customization, yeah, no, I don't think they're going to have to send the price through the roof. I mean, obviously they can if they want to, but I don't think they need to. But yeah, it'll be exciting.
I guess we'll find out when they launch the Kickstarter.
We will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? The Gamma
What?
Quadrant. The Gamma Quadrant is here.
Well, that's unfortunate. Do we have to watch out for Jemadar?
Yes, we do.
Yes. Here's a Star Trek reference. Marvellous.
Modifius has announced the Gamma Quadrant sourcebook for the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game.
Ah, fantastic. So we can have all sorts of changelings.
Dominion.
Yes.
It includes other Gamma Quadrant aliens, the events of the Dominion War, and a whole wealth of new information, it says, on the previously unexplored sector.
Yes.
It does look quite good. I mean, it's still got that sort of black background text, background white text, which they have for all their books. But
absolute nightmare to print, you said, if I recall.
Yeah, but although I think they do print friendly versions as well. Do they? I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking I may have heard that somewhere. I don't know for sure. Yeah. So you've got a dozen new alien species, including the Dosi, Lurians, the Sona, Wadi, and the Changelings. A bunch of starships, detailed information about the Dominion War, material about the Dominion and its history and structure and culture, and information on the Federation's relationship with the Dominion and other Gamma Quadrant denizens as of 2375.
Exciting. Yeah.
Right. Do you want some more news?
I'd love some
Or
more
have
news.
you had enough of news?
No! Lay the news on me. I demand more.
Yeah. Hey, the most anticipated tabletop role-playing game of 2020 poll is ongoing. It ends on Tuesday. Yes.
Is this on ianworld.org?
Yeah. Ends on Tuesday or Wednesday, one of those two.
Yeah, you can pick a day. I believe in you.
Yeah, it's had over... Well, last I checked, which was a couple of days ago, it's had over 1,500 votes cast.
1,500.
So I'm anticipating a good 5,000 or so by Wednesday.
Oof. Wow, that's a lot of votes.
Yes, so you should head on over to Ian World,
Yes.
find the poll, and vote for your most anticipated tabletop role-playing game of 2020.
Nice.
And don't complain to me if your most anticipated game hasn't been nominated.
When you haven't nominated it.
Yes. Yeah.
Go and nominate your game.
Well, it's too late
Just
now.
saying.
Next year,
well-
nominate your game.
Well, nominate your game for 2020. It'll be fine. Just get in there before Thursday. If you're listening to this on Thursday, too late.
You can't nominate your game. Nomination period's over. It's the voting stage at the moment.
Well, in which case, hard cheese then, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't nominate.
We probably should mention that we were opening nominations for this some time ago.
We did.
Did
We
we?
spoke about it last week, Peter. And the week before.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, exciting. Clearly, it was a memorable event for me.
Yeah, this happens to you a lot, I'm noticing.
Who are you? Where am I? What?
You forget entire conversations you've had.
It's unfortunate.
Oh, well.
Yes,
There's worse things that have happened.
that's true.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially at sea. Same things that happen on land, but you're wet as well. It's a problem.
Cubicle 7
Yes.
has announced the Warhammer Age of Sigmar launch lineup. Mm-hmm. Why are you putting on a hat? It's a Christmas
That's
hat.
it. It's a cat hat.
It looks like a Christmas hat.
It is very Christmassy, but it's also cat
Oh, okay.
as well. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I was just wondering what was behind me, but it's a hat that Jess won't wear. Sometimes.
Well, anyway, Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
Yes.
The core rulebook is expected in the first quarter of 2020 in PDF
Exciting.
and has all the rules you need to play. Then there's a starter set coming in the second quarter, which includes a 48-page adventure, 5 pre-generated characters, and a 64-page city gazetteer, and all the dice and tokens and stuff you need. And then there's a Game Master screen, which is going to be coming out. A 4-panel landscape screen, 32-page booklet with 5 different adventures for each of the 5 cities of Sigmar.
Exciting.
It does. Moving on to Fantasy Flight Games, despite them shuttering a lot of their RPG, well, whatever it is they're doing with their RPG department. They are still announcing new products.
Yes.
And they've just announced a role-playing game tie-in to one of their board games. And I don't know what this is, but it's a campaign setting book for the Genesis game, and it's called Keyblade: Secrets of the Crucible.
Oh, Keyblade does ring bells. I think that's some sort of collectible card game.
It's a random deck card game designed by Richard Garfield, it says here.
Right.
An artificial world created by enigmatic architects that mix advanced technology with ancient magic.
We'd just like to apologise to all our listeners who are shouting at their listening devices, saying, "You idiots, don't you know what Keyblade is?" And just like saying, "Sorry, we don't really do collectible card games."
This isn't a card game podcast now, is it?
Yeah, no, sorry, it's like, Divas card gamers.
Yeah.
Like, I know how to play Magic, but I haven't played in ages.
And I've never played Magic.
The rest has never played Magic.
And
It's
guess
a long
what?
list of things for us.
I'm never going to play Magic. No interest. Just none.
But, and if you'd like to join us as a patron, in order for me to teach Russ how to play Magic, possibly in a special episode,
not going to happen.
Just write in for just a small sum of $5 a month. You can have Russ learn how to play your favourite game.
Not going to happen. Starfinder.
Hey man, if the patrons request it, you have to do it. That's
Enough of this Magic talk. Starfinder. Starfinder has a new resource coming.
Are you going to do the same thing last week and tell me about something and I'm going to forget about it?
Well,
I had Centaurs last week.
We actually did that a minute ago, Peter.
Did we?
Oh my god.
Starfinder's got a new resource coming.
Your wife's a doctor, isn't she?
Is she?
Maybe you should have a word with her.
That would explain all these bumps in the head I've been having. Yeah.
Starfinder
Yes?
is releasing the Deck of Many Worlds Random Planet Generator.
Oh, nice.
So it's 110 cards.
110 cards. Well, you're a big fan of randomly generating planets, Russ. I've seen new, and that's something that I've been shouting out about it, which is that if you want to make a solar system, then it's got you covered. Yeah. So what's your take on this?
Well, I haven't seen the deck itself,
No.
but what we got here is it's a 110 card deck. You can generate a planet in a matter of seconds, and you take a card for planet type, biome, dominant species, levels of technology, and magic, and where the planet's culture stands on the law, chaos, and good evil axis, and other characteristics. And that's coming out later this month. $20, $20, sorry.
So it sounds like you'll have, 6, 7 different decks, and you draw one from each?
I guess so. I'm not sure, but I guess. I mean, I think I'm probably going to just pick this up just because I feel that can be used in pretty much something like that can probably be used in a multiple sci-fi games.
Pretty much.
Paizo, they've also started previewing their next big release, which is the Lost Omens Gods and Magic sourcebook.
Ah, yes. The World's Lost Omens being the new name for Galarian, which is their equivalent of Forgotten Realms in the setting for the Pathfinder games.
It's their default setting, basically.
Yeah, good times.
So there's this preview, and it's got this new mechanic called Divine Intercessions.
Okay.
And it's how gods directly influence the world with boons and curses and stuff.
Okay, so it's literally a book of Deus Ex Machina. Nice.
Well, I guess so. I mean, I don't know how major these things are. There's 3 examples, 2 minor boons, and 1 for each minor curse and a major curse. And the divine intercessions are like specific to each deity. So, like the minor boon from the deity Shelin, it allows a character to turn a failure on a diplomacy check into a critical success, but only when that check would serve to increase love or offer a chance of redemption.
It's a little niche, but I like it.
Yeah. So that's available for pre-order already, and it's coming out sort of January, February-ish. 35 of your fine American dollars.
Small side bet, I bet it's used within days of its release, as in, can you teach me of this thing called love? and that's totally where it's going to be used. It's like Jim's like, oh, roll some dice. Critical failure, get out of here. It's like, no, divine intervention.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right.
It's like 1,000 character concepts cried out in horror and were silent all at once.
A few bits and pieces.
Is there more news?
Yeah, a few bits and pieces from Insider and Trailseeker and the like.
Yes.
So Insider, our D&D 5th edition Patreon, has a brand new race for 5th edition. The Sentient Illusion, a being of pure magic with a heart made of a precious gem. So if you want to play Arnold Rimmer in D&D,
I was thinking Eberron, where they've got sentient magic, and your mind went straight to Red Dwarf, and I salute you, sir. Yes.
That's not enough races for you. There's Pathfinder 2 race on Trailseeker, which is, or Ancestry, as they call them, and it's called the Servitor, which is a centaur-like creature. It's half elk and half elf.
I mean, yes, that's really cool.
So it's just kind of a bit like a centaur with antlers, I don't know. You mock me, sir.
I do, yeah.
You were the man who had the cat hat on 2 minutes ago. Mock me for a centaur with antlers.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah, thanks. Half elk, half elf. I don't know what you call it, a felk.
Or a servitor, as the case may be.
An elf.
Yeah.
Yeah, servitor. Yeah. Oh, dear me. What will they come up with next?
And finally, on Trailseeker, there's a new adventure. Yes. It's called the Emerald Crown of Muzo, and it sends the players after the missing crown of a noble family and the goblin Grindleknock, who has stolen it from their family tomb.
Oh, you want to watch out for those goblins.
You do?
Shifty little fellas.
They are.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot of news, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome to the first bank of the Forbidden Kingdom, where gods forbid your gold will be stole. How may I help you?
Give me all of the gold, or I'll waste you with my crossbow.
Come again? You want to deposit all of your gold and a wasted crossbow?
No. Listen, Clark. I want all of the gold, or I'll waste you with me crossbow.
What? That crossbow there?
Yes, this crossbow.
I see.
Right. Wait, how can you?
How can I what?
See the crossbow.
I don't follow. You're standing in front of me waving a crossbow around. Looks like the guards are starting to take an interest.
Nah, you're lying. Trying to buy time or something. I'm completely invisible, see? Me and my crossbow.
Oh, I see you clear as day.
Listen, Clark. You're trying me patience. I pay good going for this invisibility potion. You can't see me. Your guards can't see me. I'm like a high-level villain, you can. Now, over the counter with all the gold, or I'll poke you in your eyes when you can't see it coming.
Listen, wait, why would you poke me in the eyes when you have a crossbow?
For the sheer intoxicating power of it all, I'm telling you. I paid 500 gold to a wizard for this invisibility potion, and I'm sure it's of great quality.
Did you actually drink it?
For the lover, of course I drank it. What, do you think I'm stupid?
Well, I mean, I can see you.
No, you can't.
Let's put a pin in that one and come back to it. Can you see yourself?
What kind of question is that? Of course I can see myself.
Well, you do realise an invisibility spell makes you invisible to yourself, right? Been that way in every edition.
Yeah, but see here, this here potion is of the highest quality. That wizard said so himself.
I see.
Stop saying that! I'm too clever for your Clarky deceptions.
Right. Did you meet this particular wizard in a dark alley by any chance?
I can tell you've heard of him. Hermestocles, the old crushing, that sells only at midnight. It was just pure good luck that I encountered him as I was playing this little caper.
Just a lucky guess. Well, it's been nice chatting. Looks like the guards are ready for their chat with you now.
What? No, stop kidding around. Listen, hand over the gold.
Listen, you, come quietly or it'll go worse for you than it already will. The first bank of the Forbidden Kingdom don't appreciate robbers and ne'er-do-wells.
Ha! You can't see me. Prepare for my evil villainous machinations, which you won't see coming.
Another satisfied customer. Need to remember to get with Hermestocles for my split. Right, is it time for our topic of the week?
Our topic of the week? Oh boy, is it ever?
So, after many hundreds of votes, one might even call them thousands, we have got the definitive list of the top 10 RPG podcasts in 2 categories, talk and actual play, and we are going to count down both. And not only that, I have gone to the effort of getting quotes from the people who nominated them to describe what they like about those shows.
Oh,
and it's where I could. Not every single one have I managed to do that, but definitely as many as I could.
Yeah, that seems like a really good way to go about it. Should we do RPG talk first, or should we do?
Why not?
Oh, we can mix and match.
Let's go. No, that'll be confusing. I did think we could do one, then the other, or we could do number 10 in each, then number 9 in each. But I think that would get so confusing.
I remember last time we did this, the lists got mislabeled, and that led to some confusion.
Right. Well, how about we start with talk?
Yes.
And would you like to? Should we alternate?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'll probably do number 10, then you can do number 9.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the talk category. So talk podcasts are podcasts which do news, interviews, reviews, opinions, advice, all that sort. Basically everything that isn't an actual play podcast. So everything but actually play on stream. We're a talk podcast.
Are we?
We are.
That was probably because we talk about RPGs rather than playing them.
Yeah, I mean, we have actually played on the we did it last week, but generally we're a talk podcast.
Yeah.
And so generally these get categorised by what they generally are. If they occasionally do something else, then, well, we're as accurate as we can be, I guess.
For given values of accuracy. Very small values of accuracy.
Yeah.
Anyway, without further ado.
Right then, let's do this, shall we?
Coming in at number 10.
Coming in at number 10 is, in the RPG talk category, is The Tome Show. The Tome Show is a D&D show that's grown to include a large number of shows each week with their focus and hosts. They do news, they do reviews, they do advice, they do interviews, they also do actual play, but generally speaking, they talk about D&D.
They do books as well.
I think they do. I believe that they do.
Marvellous, because it would be terrible if it was called The Tome Show and never did anything about books.
Yes, yeah. There's something on there about book clubs as well. So The Tome Show is the 10th favourite talk RPG podcast of 2019.
Wow, nice. Coming in on a hot number 9 is the Plot Points podcast by Ben Riggs. Website https://plotpoints.libsyn.com, and that's been discussing role-playing games as literature since 2013. What they do is they take a deep dive onto the influences, origins, joys, and even the meaning of tabletop role-playing games. The gang talks about new releases, old gems, and they speak with some of the most influential and exciting creators in the tabletop role-playing game design space.
Very interesting. So Ben Riggs is one of the people that has been responsible for a lot of those history of TSR articles that have been appearing on places like my site and obviously on his podcast. So his podcast is the main vehicle for that stuff, and he interviews people from the TSR era and delves into history. He gets hold of documents from that era and all that sort of stuff. That news article we had today about Ed Greenwood paying $5,000, that came from him, for example.
Oh, interesting.
And so it's if you're into the history of D&D, that's a really good podcast. And he's also working on a book about about that topic as well, which I don't know how far through it is. I think he's finished it and is editing it or something like that. But I know there's a book coming.
That sounds very interesting indeed.
Yeah.
What's coming in at number 8?
Ooh, No Direction.
No Direction.
KNOW Direction. I'm sure everyone's heard of this one. It's a very, very well-known Pathfinder podcast. News, reviews, interviews, and things like that. Also, convention coverage. It's Pathfinder focused. It's probably, I'd say, one of the, if not the lead Pathfinder news podcasts. And we got a quote from the person who nominated it. Was Coz, C-O-Z. Coz says, I don't even play Pathfinder, and I find it entertaining, especially their PaizoCon and Gen Con seminar coverage every year.
That's a very strong recommendation.
So that's number 8. No Direction, the probably the best known Pathfinder podcast. Oh no, there's an actual play Pathfinder podcast which we'll get to later, which is very, very well known. But next.
Well, lucky number 7, Down with D&D from the misdirectedmark.com website. We have Sean and Chris. They talk about the brand of D&D and also the game. They've got news, DM topics, reviews of products, articles, and playtest materials. They also throw in some movies and some streaming, as well as talking about the DM's Guild, where they've got writing and publishing, and they cover anything and everything to do with Dungeons and Dragons.
Number 6.
Yes?
See what number 6 is?
Go on then. What is it?
If I say it backwards,
Yes?
it's Talk RPG Tabletop Unofficial Morris's.
I'm sorry, I couldn't remember what the start of the thing was because I forgot because it took so long to say.
Yeah, number 6. We are in at number 6, our own podcast, Morris's Unofficial Tabletop RPG Talk, which you can find in your ears right now.
Yes, well, presumably if you're listening to this, you already know that you can get it from morris.podbean.com and from like iTunes and Spotify and Pocket Casts, and it's just all over the place.
And it is, or directly from my website.
Does anyone else do specifically general RPG news?
So that's the thing. I mean, we probably, at least almost certainly, probably maybe, because there might be one out there that I don't know of, but I think we're the only general RPG news focused podcast. So there are other podcasts that occasionally focus on RPG news.
Yes.
And there are podcasts that focus on specific news, like No Direction focuses on Pathfinder.
Yeah.
But I think as a broad spectrum thing, we might be the only one. I'm not sure if there's another one.
Woohoo! That makes us the best podcast for news. But also the worst podcast at the same time.
Well, yeah. I think we're a good go-to if you want a weekly snapshot of the week's RPG news. I think we're a good strong contender there.
Well, that's kind of you to say.
Yeah.
Blazing at number 5, Gaming and BS, which is from gamingandbs.com. Based in lovely Wisconsin, USA, Gaming and BS is a podcast that talks about tabletop RPGs. They're system agnostic in after a fashion because, as they say, it can be difficult to reference RPGs and not mention Dungeons and Dragons, Call of Cthulhu, and the respective derivatives. Listening to Gaming and BS, you'll realise that they don't take themselves too seriously. They're semi-intelligent, but don't want to make the show too academic, which is nice. Apparently they're friends who take jabs at each other and occasionally disagree on every topic. Well, obviously we don't know anything like that, but we should definitely take a listen and see. The people who nominated, Sabatheus42,
yes.
Sabatheus42 said, I like this podcast because the host chose an interesting main topic each week and discuss it a little bit more in depth than you might find on other podcasts. By delving deeper into the subject, they make you think a little bit more about it than what your gut feeling tells you to feel. And Jay Verquillen says, seconded. They do a really good job of engaging with listener feedback. I go through periodic binges. Besides, Brett and Sean have wicked Wisconsin accents.
I'm going to check that out because I want to find out what a wicked Wisconsin accent sounds like. It's just going to sound like an American accent to me, so...
Yeah, well, I don't know, unless they start talking like people at Fargo or something. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, that's number 5. That was number 5. So we're now into number 4. Number 4 is Mud and Blood.
Bum, bum, bum.
Mud and Blood is a podcast focused on tabletop RPGs of a grim and dark nature. Join Liam Stevens and Matt Kay as they discuss and review RPGs and interview their creators. I've been on this podcast.
Have you? Did they make you play the favourite game in the world?
No, but we did talk about Judge Dredd. It was a year ago? 2 years ago? It was a while. A couple of people said, so Gunnar B says, for talk, I'd like to nominate Mud and Blood. Nice mix of content with some AP as well, but I mostly listen to their other stuff, reviews and discussions. And Zacchus says, my favourite podcast. Great interviews with RPG designers, people like Thomas Harenstam, Free League, Jason Durrell, Conan, Kenneth Haidt, Russ Morrissey. Hey, that's me.
Who's that guy?
Rob Schwab, Scrap Princess, Mike Mason, Graham Walmsley, Sean Tompkin, and the list goes on. They talk about the system with the designer, review it, and having a one-shot. And you can find a lot of other stuff. APs, game design, and Lovecraft.
Oh, that's so nice. They put you, like, with all those famous people.
Yes. That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. Shall we move on?
Number 3.
Numero tres. That's 3 in Spanish. What would the Smart Party do? Which is from the whatwouldthesmartpartydo.com website. Gaz and Baz have apparently spent decades talking about games, ever since university, which was far too long ago for their liking.
I've been on this one too.
I imagine so. All RPG problems were solved in whiskey-fueled late-night sessions, with a disappointing realisation that they couldn't remember any of it the following day, being the only fly in the ointment. Now, older, wiser, more experienced. Was that just older, you say? Oh, fair enough. The plucky duo have decided to commit their enthralling discussion to this newfangled podcast technology in the vain hopes of capturing something useful or interesting. It should be a conversation starter, if nothing else. Getting them to start talking was never the problem. Making them stop, however.
This is one of the ones that I listen to. I do very much enjoy their podcast. I've been on it before. They're really, really nice couple of guys.
Yeah. So what would the Smart Party do?
They would interview people on their podcast, I guess.
I guess so.
Right.
So.
Next one.
Number 2.
Curse you, Baker!
Yes.
He beat us after all. It's the
Shocker.
Manifest Zone, the
all right.
Everyone podcast from Keith Baker, Wayne Chang, and Christian Serrano. We had Keith Baker on our podcast 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Wasn't it just last week, in fact?
Was it? No, it wasn't last week. It was Emmy Allen last week.
Oh, yes, it was. I forgot. Yeah. 2 weeks ago.
It might have been 2 weeks ago. Anyway, he was a lovely guest, and the podcast...
No, it's longer than that, because we had him in before Christmas, surely.
Yeah.
So it's 3 weeks ago.
Like I said a minute ago, Peter.
Do you try and pay attention to us?
Where was I? It's a lovely podcast.
Well done,
Ben the Ferg says,
Yes.
the person who nominated it, it's excellent, and they are very informative on my favourite setting. Your one is second. I think, is he referring to us? I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
We'll
take it.
Let's go with that, shall we? Let's just assume they are.
Here's Ben the Ferg. Yeah, why not? There are worse plans.
So that was number 2. So Keith, Wayne, and Christian, you have got the second most favourite RPG Talk podcast of 2019. But now we're about to find out what
number
1.
Number 1 of the top 10 RPG Talk, the absolute best, has voted for by the readers of IanWorld.org in their absolute favourite podcast for RPG Talk would be... Can I drum roll? No? Okay. The Grognard Files, which is from the grognardfiles.com. Dirk the Dice has the Grognard Files podcast. I've apparently discovered I can't say grognard. It means grumbling old soldier in French. I know about that.
If you're saying it in French, was it grognard? But if you're saying it in American, you're saying grognard.
I'll go with grognard.
Go with the American version.
Yeah, I like grognard. I'm Dirk the Dice, and this is the Grognard Files podcast, which apparently talks bobbins about tabletop RPGs from back in the day and also today. The nominator, Rumleach, said, I'd like to nominate the Grognard Files, a unique blend of the old and new with a sweet, malty taste of dunked biscuits, which I can only presume means dunked malt biscuits into a fine cup of tea, because otherwise it would just ruin the flavour. Dave Peters said, I would like to nominate the Grognard Files for Podcast of the Year, a combination of humour, insights, biscuits and gaming. What's not to adore in that mix? There is, though, one distinction that puts it above all others, and that's the hugely positive community that's grown around it of people who have become invested in making like-minded fans feel welcome and valued, which I believe to be as important to the promotion of our hobby. And biscuits.
So the Grognard Files joins the good friends of Jackson Elias that was last year's talk winner in the Hall of Fame as favourite RPG Talk podcast of 2019.
Yes. Oh, bravo.
Yes.
And what I really like about this as well, oh dear, we're clapping like we're at the start of the podcast, man. It's uncoordinated. But what I really like about this is how positive they are about certain things. Like, it's really nice to see something in this day and age of people being, we're going to do something positive, and that being recognised and rewarded on this scale. So fair play to them. Yeah. It sounds really good.
So when we do this again next year, the Grognard Files won't be eligible. Once you win, you can't win again. So
you're
the good friends of Jackson Elias and the Grognard Files, both in the Hall of Fame now.
Yes. To be treasured forever.
Yes, to be treasured forever.
Yes. Shall I start off the next list with number 10 and just let you have number 1?
And what is the next list?
The next list would be the actual play.
Ooh.
I know, excites me.
So, interestingly, of the entries that we got, the nominations that we got, there were about twice as many actual play nominations as there were talk. Not surprising, really. And again, about twice as many total votes for the actual play podcasts as there were talk. Again, not surprising. So it just kind of sort of looked like the audience for actual play is about twice the size of that for talk.
Fair enough.
Roughly. I don't know. It's not very scientific, really, but that's just...
You know what? No one else is a metric. So that's what we're going with right now.
Fine. Fine. Okay, then.
If you want someone to listen to your podcast, actual play gets double the listeners.
So last year's winner of actual play was The Adventure Zone.
Yes. They're now Hall of Famers for 2018.
Yes. So this year, let's find out who is winning this year. So, do you want to start with number 10?
I will. Number 10 is Rude Tales of Magic.
Woohoo!
Saucy. That's coming from glasnosmedia.squarespace.com/Rude Tales of Magic. And it's the actual play podcast you've been waiting for. Polaris University, with its hallowed arcane halls, has vanished. Which seems careless to me, but there you go. The unlikely survivors, a talking crow, a lich in a wig, a bubbly fawn, a Sasquatch punk, and a tiefling hunk, must solve the mystery and return balance and higher education to their world. It's going to be very hard and very, very rude. Come, join artists, writers and comedians from Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Marvel Comics and more as they fight and fumble their way across the madcap and exceedingly rude fantasy wasteland of Cordelia. An entire universe of adventure calls out to you. Are you rude enough to answer? The nominators include Honeydew. It's still new, but it's shaping up to be one of the best actual plays I've ever heard. It's got everything you could want. A cast of hilarious and committed characters, superb editing and production, and a wickedly clever DM who balances the titular rudeness with an engaging story. King PP says, succinctly, if perhaps not as articulately as we might like, podcasts make me happy. Mort Rager.
Has he got an Arnold Schwarzenegger accent there?
No, that's more my Hulk.
Oh, okay.
Podcasts make me happy. That's more my Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
No, okay. I hope you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
Mort Rager says the chemistry between this group is the real magic. It's hysterical, and you actually get invested in the characters. Their improvising is so damn good. And their DM, Branson, is phenomenal with characters, whether they are vital to plot or just for messing around. Also, I would die for stir fry. I'm not sure. It seems to be a podcast that encourages shouting. Jinky says, I love those rude people and an extremely fun podcast. They have a long history of live performance that helps create compelling character interactions and story along with hilarious bits. Ooh, those bits are good.
Yeah, so congratulations to Rude Tales of Magic. Number 10.
Yes, very well done.
Number 9. Number 9 is Red Moon Roleplaying. And any award-winning podcast that plays role-playing games set in dark worlds. At the moment, they're playing Vampire the Masquerade, a campaign called No Man is an Island. Ben the Ferg said, they are brilliant. They really bring RPGs alive. And Sweeman77, that's definitely his real name, says, an amazing dark podcast with lots of content.
And what that content is will have to remain mysterious to us, but it's certainly spoken highly of. Number 8 is How We Roll, which comes from howwerollpodcast.com. How We Roll Podcast is a UK and Ireland-based actual play show focusing on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. And even better, the mix of the two. Ha! How exciting would that be? It's Cthulhu. I cast Fireball. Oh, that didn't work. Never mind. Sipojo11 says they're an amazing Call of Cthulhu / D&D podcast that have gotten me through a lot.
Hey, there's Pathfinder stats for Cthulhu.
They're using Pathfinder stats for
No, there are Pathfinder stats for Cthulhu. No, I say they exist.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure there's probably D&D stats for Cthulhu. I bet there are.
Oh, absolutely. I can mix them up if you like. He eats D4 adventurers per round. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, is it my turn for number 7?
Yes, it's your numbers. Go.
Oh, this is a biggie. This is a big one. The Glass Cannon podcast and the Androids and Aliens podcast and the Glass Cannon Network. What I've done is where you get, and this happens again later in the list, where you get a podcast network which produces multiple podcasts and basically all the same people have pretty much voted for both. Or all three or whatever. I was just kind of like, just for the sake of simplicity, just listen them together. So, I haven't added the votes together. I've just, No. So the Glass Cannon podcast is probably without doubt, one of the biggest RPG podcasts out there. So this is a Pathfinder and Starfinder podcast.
Yeah.
As I said, it's a big one. Most people who listen to podcasts have probably heard of it. They say about themselves, the Glass Cannon Network endeavours to create weekly, captivating, epic fantasy stories accessible to gamers and non-gamers alike. Interweaving immersive storytelling with irreverent improvised humour, the GM and players deliver the experience of what's really like to sit around a table and rolling dice with your closest friends. Professional, high-quality audio, unlike us, complex and memorable three-dimensional characters, instructional elements designed to enlighten both new and veteran players, and a commitment to community building amongst their fans, all combined to make the Glass Cannon an exciting and innovative voice in podcasting.
Nice.
We got a few comments, quite a few comments. We got TD Beck 13 says, this group of nerds have given me so much throughout the past couple of years, and they don't even know it.
Oh.
I hope that doesn't mean he's pickpocketing.
I think he's probably just going around their houses and burgling when they're out doing podcasting, which I think is very awful.
We played some games, says Troy, Joe, Grant, Matthew and Skid are smart, funny and engaging while playing Pathfinder. Troy's stories, GMing and the party's role-playing make me wish each episode would be 10 times as long.
Aww.
Isette Good says, I hereby submit the Glass Cannon podcast as best RPG actual play. The cast is fantastic and made up of acting, theatre folks, comedians among the lot of them. Pathfinder 1E and 2E, as well as Starfinder, are represented on the network. Totally uncritical support for these fine lads and lasses. Gamps says, great actual play, humour and role-playing. Playing through actual Pathfinder modules are cut well above the improv-focused gameplay light casts that swamp the internet. I've been slowly working my way through the library of years of casts, enjoying one or two a day on my commute. Awesomely good, and has me looking for excuses to listen to more. And finally, Verdowski Sky. Verdowski, I have no idea how to say that, says, still the best actual play podcast out there.
Solid. So,
yeah. If you're into Pathfinder, basically the Glass Cannon podcast and the No Direction podcast are the two big.
And it seems very story focused with the emphasis on modules.
Yeah, and they're very much supported by Paizo as well, those two.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's your turn now. Number 6.
Number 6 is Colic 1991, which comes from the colic1991.simplecast.com website. And this is Kids on Bikes game, which, as our listeners all know, tends to be a smaller RPG setting from an indie developer, which allows people to roleplay as though they're in an 80s, or in this case, early 90s movie. The small Pacific Northwest town of Colic is in 1991. It's not a real town, not on maps, but it's real to them. Hop on, your chauffeur awaits to take you wherever you want. It airs live on Monday nights, which is an interesting twist, on twitch.tv/hyperrpg. An entire production is produced live with audience feedback built into the show. Techie Carer says, a Kids on Bikes actual play which has an extremely talented cast along with great sound design, including custom music made for the game, and a brilliant horror, thriller/suspense story. And Mass Effect Adventum says, fantastic GM and cast as well as an awesome story.
Yeah, Kids on Bikes. I kind of want to try that game. It's very, it's very E.T. or Stranger Things. You know, that sort of thing, isn't it?
Two
things which famously feature kids on bikes.
Yeah, pretty much. I quite like a bit of Dark myself, which is the German version on Netflix of Stranger Things, but less kids on bikes and more like Doom. But that's just me, so never mind.
Right, we're into the top 5 now.
The top 5? What's number 5, Russ?
So dramatic.
I know.
I can hardly bring myself to reveal it. It's so exciting.
Oh, well, if you're not that first.
Yeah, should we stop now? Let's just stop at number... Should we just stop at number 2 and just reveal the last one next week?
No. Bad Morris, no biscuit.
All right, number 5.
Number 5
is...
Yes?
Dungeons and Randomness.
Ah, how exciting.
A weekly D&D podcast with multiple groups playing in one world called Feria, in which their actions affect each other and tell a giant, sprawling story. Stone Snake says the DNR crew has 4 groups doing actual play 5e D&D in a vast, vividly detailed world. It's funny, heartbreaking, and exciting, often at the same time. Diam75. Would you like to know what Diam75 says?
Is it good?
He says Dungeons and Randomness. Well, yes, they all say it's good. They're nominating them as best podcast of the year.
No, is what Diam75 has to say good. Don't waste my time with half-hearted, lukewarm comments. I want enthusiasm.
Okay, Dungeons and Randomness are by far the best actual play RPG podcast. Jason is an incredible dungeon master, storyteller, and role player. The cast is amazing, and everyone is great at role playing and making you care about these fictional people and world. We have something from Wonder Ducky 3. Wonder Ducky 3.
Yes.
Wonder Ducky 3 says,
yes.
I'd like to post up my support for Dungeons and Randomness as well. They're telling an incredible story that is set in their own fully fleshed out, living and breathing world with 3 groups simultaneously travelling around, impacting the world in big ways. The entire 18-member cast, are all phenomenal role players and bring a lot of heart and diversity to their characters. Jason does an incredible job as DM, and I'm blown away by his level of detail and his fantastic storytelling skills. If you haven't given them a shot, please do.
Crikey, I'm quite tempted to have a listen to it just to see how somebody manages 18 party members.
Well, not all at once.
I presume
they're various groups.
6 groups of 3. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we've got a couple more comments. We've got Megara North, who says that nominating Dungeons and Randomness for actual play, I don't know that I have words to coherently describe how much I love this podcast, but I can say that never have I ever found a more immersive podcast, genre notwithstanding. The world is so deep and detailed, the DM is incredibly dedicated and creative, and the cast are wonderfully talented. I think that Mega North did in fact find the words to coherently describe how much she loved that podcast.
Yes, but well done.
And finally we have a comment from, it's lots of letters and numbers.
Learn in Hydra?
Oh, Lernian Hydra. Except all the E's are 3s and all the A's are 4s. Yes, got it. Lernian Hydra. Yeah. Gotcha. Or L3RN343N Hydra 4, as they like to be known.
The least of Hydras.
Yeah. Well, L3RN343N Hydra 4 says, Dungeons and Randomness have been my top pick for actual play D&D for years. They're very personable in their side podcast, Good Morning Theriah, and their actual play is amazing in long story.
Nice.
Well, that was number 5. We're now into the top 4.
We've gone from very big with an 18-member cast to very small with number 4, Dying Order, which coincidentally is the number of players they have. 4 will be chosen. Dying Order's a D&D 5th edition homebrew actual play with GM Brad Woto and featuring Disby Arix, Katie Peters Plays, Pocket and Pumpkinberry. Return to the world of Lacarin. It might not exist for much longer, which is also available on podbean.com at Dying Order.
Okay.
Oh, Russ, you've got all the long ones, mate.
Yeah, I have. This is a long one. Wow. This is a very long one. Okay. This is number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3 had a very, 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 very enthusiastic fan base, which nominated this podcast again and again and again. Clearly, the podcast had sort of tweeted or said on their show or posted somewhere in a Discord or something, and go and nominate, because suddenly there was this wave of like dozens of people nominating this one. But
Woo!
this one is The Stubborn Heroes.
Yes.
And the world of Varian has a rich and bountiful history of heroic triumphs and great calamity, a world besieged by the endless wars between light and dark. 3,500 years have passed since the Dragon Empire fell, during which time the realm has seen great prosperity and growth across all 3 continents.
Nice.
And we got lots and lots of comments about this one.
Yes.
Ashley
Time to
Tacker.
get some good ones.
Yes, Ashley Tacker says, I nominate The Stubborn Heroes. They're an actual play podcast with a great group of guys and a fun-loving community on Discord. Lady Shana13 says, I hereby nominate the cast and crew of the amazing podcast The Stubborn Heroes. Not only are they an amazing podcast to listen to every day, but their online Discord community is both inviting and encouraging for many people across the globe, whether they are D&D veterans or shining new hopefuls to the vast RPG universe. Parker3247 says, The Stubborn Heroes, hilarious quality D&D actual play action. I'm whipping through these as fast as I can, because there's so many. Dylan Something says, actual play The Stubborn Heroes, a really close community, and the podcast that got me back into D&D after a few years. Brenflem1 says, I nominate The Stubborn Heroes, an actual play podcast, and they're awesome. I love them. They never disappoint. Muffin Mum 6 says, I nominate The Stubborn Heroes. They're an actual play podcast and a lot of fun. I love listening to them. A lot of these people are saying exactly the same thing. Is there anyone that says something different? Here we go. Goth Mama says, they're a bunch of Canadian weirdos that make life awesome with an amazing homemade campaign. The DM actually built his own world and story instead of just following a campaign, and it's clear he put a lot of effort in.
Marvellous, marvellous. So there you go. That's number 3.
Shall we move on to number 2?
Oh,
It's getting tense now. It's
is.
getting exciting now.
Who will be at number 2? Who has the penultimate place in the top 10 of 2019 actual play podcasts?
Let's find out.
Well,
Next week?
I'll tell
No.
you that-
Let's find out now.
no, get out.
Let's find out after the break. No.
Coming in at number 2, Sweden Rolls, from swedenrolls.com. Here you have 4 actors playing the very best of Swedish RPGs with one of Sweden's most experienced and appreciated podcast GMs. Their actual play with Forbidden Lands, Coriolis, Cult, Tales from the Loop, many of which we've actually mentioned in today's podcast alone, showing the power of the Scandinavians in the role-playing scene. Nominator Gurup Hill said, for actual play, Sweden Rolls has become my preferred podcast, pure talent and great production values. Crip81 said they're from Sweden and of course speak English. Andreas Lundstrom is the starter of the podcast and the GM, makes his own music in the podcast. He's also got some of his music on Kickstarter. He's also got 4 actresses that are playing the RPG. They make it all so good. At first they hadn't played any RPG, but now they're so good. If you don't believe me, try the first episode in Forbidden Lands on Spotify or other podcast player. Gunnar RB, well, for AP I'd like to nominate Sweden Rolls. Charming, fun, great acting and storytelling, and just the right amount of table talk for me. Good production as well. And Buttons says, an excellent cast and GM with a focus on Swedish role-playing games, all in English.
Ooh, that was number 2, Sweden Rolls. If you're into Swedish RPGs, and Swedish RPGs are gorgeous,
Yes.
then that's one.
And this one,
to check
this
out.
one apparently has a bunch of actresses, so yeah, get yourself in on there.
That takes us.
But Russ,
Oh my god.
what is the ultimate? What is the?
I'm so excited.
actual-
I'm so
You
excited.
just can't hide it.
I just can't hide it. I think we have to lose control. I think I like it.
Yeah,
I had to think for a second to remember the lyric, just for a moment.
indeed.
So number one, the
Number one.
the favourite
Yes.
actual play,
Yes.
RPG,
Yes.
podcast of 2019
Go with
is
it.
actually 3 podcasts. Because all 3 of these came in right at the top.
Yes.
So I've decided to link them together into one entry. But if you don't like that, consider them 3 entries and add 3 to everyone else's position. But this is
Nah.
this is because all 3 of them came above everyone else. So
Yes.
well, here we go. It's exciting.
Yeah.
These are Table Stories, 3 podcasts: Nocturne, Darkfire, and Zero Blue Orion. All of which...
Do them in reverse alphabetical order.
I could do. Yeah, I will do that then. So, Zero Blue Orion would come first.
Yeah. Yes.
And this is a comedic anime-style mecha show using the Lancer RPG system, and it follows several test subjects as they try to stop an impending disaster that could undo thousands of years of work. Comments from Noodle Leaf, who says, Table Story have many shows, and 2019 was perhaps the biggest yet, but Zero Blue Orion takes the listeners through all of the emotions that are there, while keeping its anime comedy vibe at its core, with a cast of voice actors and entertainers, and each of them having their own voice effects and sound effects. The show is incredibly immersive.
Nice.
And Zero Project 6260 says a beautifully pure anime comedy full of emotional moments created by characters' backstories that are so pure and sometimes relatable.
Nice.
Nocturne is the second of these three at number 1 from Table Story. Nocturne. What if you could no longer determine what in the world around you was real or not real? What would you give to get that certainty back? Nocturne is a mature, supernatural thriller about what lurks in the darkest places. Is that sort of like between the sofa cushions?
Yeah,
it's pretty dark there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, don't go there. Get lost.
Happy Meanie says, incredible role-playing, great cast and GM. Young at Heart says, the story, role-playing, GMing and production of this TTRPG is truly next level.
Nice.
Uber Last Man says, I'm jumping on the bandwagon for Table Story's Nocturne in the actual play category. I've enjoyed a lot of the different actual plays over the years of varying quality and level of fame, and none have compared to this. The chemistry between the participants, the mind-bending plot crafted by the GM, the fantastic description and acting by the players, and the great production quality sound effects take this podcast to the next level. This is the first actual play that's legitimately competing with my favourite TV shows for all-time favourite media.
Nice.
And either Curso or Curso says, a great cast in a thriller horror setting run by the Table Story crew, GM Pumpkinberry. Also check it out if you need something new.
Sweet.
And a third in this trifecta, this winning trifecta of Table Stories.
All having equally large numbers of votes.
Yeah. Or very, very close to. But still way above the next one. The next one, the last one, is Darkfire. Spell and sword clash in a world where the ancient magic of the Magi await those courageous and resourceful enough to find it. Darkfire is a twisty D&D 5e actual play fantasy drama full of intrigue and power lust that follows 4 adventurers bound together by a mysterious deity. Charlie Fox says, I would like to nominate Table Story's Darkfire podcast for actual play. It's a great cast of role players. There are some emotional moments, great energy between the cast, an enthralling story, and a strong balance between progression and character building.
Fantastic.
That was our number 1 actual play podcast for 2019, Table Story, winning with a trifecta of Nocturne, Darkfire, and Zero Blue Orion. And they also had an entry further down in the list. I'm pretty sure, the Dying Order was also a Table Story one. That was also on the list, but a little further down. Didn't have quite as many votes as the other 3.
But it was definitely having a go. So,
it's definitely up there. Definitely up there. But that congratulations. You'll remember Wax Stephen came on our podcast about a year ago.
How can I forget Wax Stephen?
He's from Table Story.
He was doing the Judge Dredd and World's 2000D actual play.
Yes.
Which was, Sector 66, as I recall?
Yeah, and he did Warped, which was What's Old Is New one before that. And he's done a few. So, well done, Table Story. Should we give them an applause? Let's applaud them.
Oh,
yay!
Yeah. Well played.
So,
there you go. What higher accolade could you demand?
So Table Story and the Grognard Files both go into the Hall of Fame. They won't be eligible next year, but for 2019, they are the winners of the podcast chart. They are the champions. So next week we have Matt Corley coming on, and he'll be talking about Whispers in the Dark, which is D&D 5th edition powered investigative horror.
Right. Well, that sounds right up my alley.
Yes, you've got the copy of that book, haven't you? I've got mine.
I do,
yes.
yeah.
So we'll have a look at that before next week, and then we'll talk to Matt all about it next week.
Yes.
Thank you all for listening. It has been fun. Congratulations to the top 10 in both categories.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to have so many fans. Appreciate you, and certainly I feel honoured and touched that we actually not only got nominated, but actually made it into, position number 6.
Although I always think if we actually somehow did come in at number 1, I think I'd have to disqualify us, because it would just be a bit weird.
I'm okay with it.
Well, we will eventually, because what happens is each...
it gives us something to aim for.
As each podcast wins and becomes ineligible, we go up. So in 6 years' time...
I don't think it works that way, Russ. I think we might actually have to do some work and try and be more interesting.
Apparently I now have to read this to you. This is the official podcast of Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG news, which you can find at enworld.org. You can find show notes at morris.podbean.com or wherever you found the podcast. If you feel like they deserve it, you can support the show on Patreon. In return, you will receive exclusive bonus content. Just go to patreon.com/Morris. If you're interested in his babbling nonsense, you can follow at Morris on the Twitter. Send your emails to morrispodcast@gmail.com. Not all of your emails, just the ones you want us to see. That's it. I'm bored now. You can go away. Shoo, off you go. Goodbye. Get out of here.